What's going on, Smite fans? I am joined by Aror, the support for the Styx Ferryman, and he's going to walk us through a massive new meta change in support. There's some new starter changes, there's some recipes, things like that, and we've got a tier list, and I'm very excited to jump into it. Aror, thank you for joining me. We're going to start.
Having me.
We're going to start with Aries, a god that I think that you like to play a fair bit. Considering all the changes, considering things like recipes, do you think Aries has gotten better? Has he gotten worse? What's up with Aries?
Definitely gotten better. I feel like for ranked, he's really good just early game, for early game clear, for just doing a lot of damage. And then his ult's also really good against a lot of characters. And now with the addition of his basic attack damage or in-hand damage that he gives with his bolster defenses is 2. He's really good. So I would put him in... I don't know if I put him in S tier. I put him in A tier.
And I should preface this, I usually do. This is a ranked tier list. This is not for comp. This is not for the pro league. This is Aurora cues into a ranked game. How likely is he to pick these gods based on how easily he could hard carry the game?
Is it how likely I would pick these gods
this is you picking
Maybe
them.
I would put him S tier then? It's like, it's very... S is like crazy though, I feel like.
S is like you're guaranteed you're winning this game. Probably winning lane. You're doing as much as you can to win that lane and then translate into a dub, hopefully. That's what I like to consider it, because it's also advice, right? People are watching this.
Can we change it at the end if I wanted to?
Of course.
All right, let's put Aries in S to start it then.
We'll get back to it, and you'll say, not so much.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Ardio. Do you even consider Ardio a support pick? Is she more still the solo lane god, or do you think she still has viability in that support role?
I think you could play her in support. I think she's definitely not bad.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to, like, usually when I do my tier list, I have like a section that it's like good to play it. It's like not a detriment. So I don't know if I should make that B tier or C tier.
You can decide that. I would say C is when you're putting your team at a bit of a disadvantage, right?
Okay, so then I would put Ardio in B tier. There's a lot of characters I would not put at your team at a disadvantage. I feel like her clear is good. She has a lot of CC, which is always good in ranked, so I'd say B tier.
All right, moving on to Athena. I've been seeing more Athena in the jungle than anything, but I still think the taunt, great engage, has some decent early clear. How much are you leaning on Athena in ranked?
I think Athena is good as well with the changes she received. She got the movement speed now with her ult as well. Whoever you target with your ult, they gain additional movement speed.
And then the slow on her 3.
And then the slow on her 3 is also very good. It's also... I feel like right now it's better than it ever will be because people are not used to it too.
Right.
So I would put an A tier as well.
Okay.
With the changes.
All right, Athena over to A tier. Moving on to Atlas, another one, multi-role prodigy. A lot of people are trying out the mid lane Atlas. How much are you playing Atlas in support, and are you liking it?
Yeah, I'm gonna put him in. Okay. Sorry, can I move Athena and Aries to S tier?
Of course.
And then put.
I'm not going all the way over there. That's all you. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll put Atlas in A tier then. Okay. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit.
No, that's okay.
B tier is like not a detriment to your team, like you said earlier.
Yep.
A tier is like a little bit above average, and then S tier is really good. Is where I'm gonna put it. And then anything below B tier, not good.
There you go.
And it gets worse and worse the lower it goes.
All right, sounds good there. Moving on to Bacchus, pretty good early pressure. He's
A tier.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he has good clear as well, like good enough clear.
Yeah.
It's nothing like too crazy, but he's definitely very strong. Like, because his ability, his Belch's 3 is just really easy to hit.
Yep.
And like any CC that's easy to land helps set up your teammates, and he just does good amounts of damage for support as well. So
that's a fair point. I think the training wheels, right? It's hard to miss the Belch, and if you do it, the Belch and the burp is confirmed, and then you can just flop on it.
Exactly.
Easy peasy. Moving on to Cabrakan. He got some crazy changes. I've been seeing a lot of solo lane Cabrakan, but those changes I imagine are still good in support.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him in A tier. Okay. The reason why he's not S tier is just because his jungle clear is very bad.
Yeah.
Like last year they nerfed him and they took damage off his 2 and his 3. And before, when he had that damage, his jungle clear was good, but as soon as they removed that from him, his jungle clear became very bad. If they gave him some more damage, either on his 2 or 3, it would be a lot better. And then he'd probably be S tier.
But then people would be building him full damage again.
Yeah, probably. But it was just base damage on the first rank.
Yep.
And that was like big for the... But Right now, he's A tier just because you get to lane slower than a lot of characters.
That's fair. All right, moving on to Cerberus, a god that I struggle to find a place for in support. Still, Prot Shred's good, the CC's good, but more often than not, leaning towards solo lane.
I think he is very underrated in ranked.
Love to hear that.
So there was the golden trio of supports that I've always said. I've done a bunch of tier lists in the past, and Bacchus is part of it. And the other two gods that were in that trio were Geb and Sobek.
Okay.
And I feel like those characters are always good in ranked, no matter what the meta is, no matter what gods are you play. If you get good at Geb, Bacchus, or Sobek, you'll always have like a good spot in ranked. And I feel like ever since Serv's been introduced into the game, he's joined them as well. So I would put him in A tier as well. I think he's very underrated. The anti-heal that he just has on his passive.
Yep.
His jungle clear is good enough as well. His lane clear is also good. He does a lot of damage, and his ult is just, it can win you games like if you get a good ult. So very underrated, I'd say.
All right, Cerberus looking pretty good. How about Charon, newest Guardian added to the roster? I've been seeing a lot of him banned away, and when he does get through, seems pretty impactful. You liking Charon?
Yeah, I'm going to also put him in A tier. Same reason as Cabrakan. Cabrakan and Charon would probably move up to S if they're
Jungle
level
clear.
1 jungle clear. Literally, that's what I've done. I've been helping people out with coaching, and the biggest thing that I tell people all the time when they play ranked is the level 1 jungle clear is the most important thing, and how you clear the wave. And if you don't have good jungle clear, you're gonna get to lane later, and you're gonna typically lose the lane unless the other team does something and makes a mistake. So, as Charon, all his abilities don't really do that much damage to the jungle camps at level 1, so you kind of get there a lot slower. But he is very strong if you get into the team fight stage, and he's good mid game as well. And his ult is
all right.
very insane.
If you're playing Charon, probably pair him with a high clear early hunter. Something that can triple bounce the early buffs or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on, Cthulhu.
I'm gonna put him in F.
I was gonna say, are we considering Cthulhu as support here?
I would just play him in soul lane if you pick him. He's a fun character, but he's definitely more of a soul laner.
All right.
E tier will be our soul lanes.
Okay, we'll leave that for the designated solo laners only. What about Fafnir? He definitely got some buffs. Staying in the dragon form for such a long time, I think, added a little bit more viability. Are you liking Fafnir?
Yeah, I would put... Fafnir's rough because he's really good sometimes. I'm going to put him in C tier just because he's very good if the game goes late and you can buff people to do objectives like Gold Fury and Fire. If you get to that stage of the game and you're Fafnir, you're feeling really good, and he can even bump all the way up to S tier maybe, and win you games. But getting to that point and not being 10K to 20K gold behind in a rank game is very hard as a character, I feel like. And then same thing with the next character, Ganesh. I'm going to also put him in C tier as well.
Love that segue.
Because he's another character. Their early game, both Fafnir and Ganesh are amazing characters if you can make it out of the early game. But their jungle clear, lane clear, and their impact on the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game is so minimal that a lot of ranked games I feel are decided within that first 10 to 15 minutes. And if you can't establish yourself in the early game, it's very hard to play those characters. And they just don't do enough in that early game to justify them to be higher in the tier list.
Okay, all right. Well spoken, I understand. I think that if you can bridge that gap, if you have high pressure, maybe you know your jungler and you say, hey, come on over here, help me out early, and then I got you late game with the initiation, with the objectives, you can warrant the picks.
Yeah, basically, if you're Fafnir or Ganesh, you want your entire team kind of needs to play around you. You need to have very strong mid jungle, and you also have to have a really strong hunter. And the soul laner, I guess, doesn't matter as much. I mean, it matters. I mean, totems are always great. If you get totems, you're happy. But both these characters, I guess Fafnir kind of needs totem, but ever since they give him his mana and his ult now, it doesn't matter as much. But you definitely need very high pressure in mid, so you can get help from your mid and jungler on your first couple buff respawns. Because as Ganesh and Fafnir, you're most likely, if you're against a good duo lane, you'll most likely lose 1 or 2 purple buffs, and that's not great for your hunter.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
But Geb, not the greatest early game either. Do you think he falls in that same vein, or you think you already had established you think he's a bit different? Yeah,
I think he's different. I think his clear is already both better than Fafnir and Ganesh. You can roll the wave. It's one of the highest base damage abilities in the game, even at rank 1. Does a lot of damage if you charge all the way up. And his shockwave is 2 is also just very strong at clearing waves. It's very easy to use. He doesn't have the best pressure, but he's more like a god I feel like Charon,
Okay.
where like if you get to the mid game, and his pressure, like Charon, the saving thing for Charon is that he has ranged attacks. Like the thing with Geb is he has his shield, which is like very annoying. Like every single jungler or mid laner, anyone with CC hates playing against Geb.
100%.
And his clear is not as bad as Fafnir and Ganesha, so he's A tier. He's one of the golden characters that you can learn in ranked. I feel like I said earlier, we'll get to the other ones later in the list, but Cerberus and Geb if you learn those characters, they're always going to be good in ranked, no matter what meta.
We did already establish a solo lane tier list. Are we going to be putting Yorm into that list? Okay.
I do love me some Yorm support, but he's definitely better solo lane.
Okay, sounds good. At this point, we should probably look at Khepri. Still a fantastic pick, but very safe, very just like burst dependent, I would say. Are you liking Khepri at the moment?
I'm going to put him in B tier. I think he's good. Like some metas he fares better in. His clear's not the worst. It's not the greatest either. And then like his lane is also good. He's really good if a jungler comes to your lane. He has his root and he has his pulls, so just a lot of gank assist. Like if you have someone coming to your lane. But I'm going to put him in B tier because I think he's good. He's not going to be a detriment to your team, but like most games, he's not going to win you the game either.
So you got to rely on a little bit of the squad, but you know, I guess that's some of the supporty style supports anyways. Speaking of, you actually just did it to me on Kumba just a bit ago. Are you playing Kumba in your ranked games, or is it just more of an annoyance factor?
So I'm going to put Kumba in C tier. I love playing Kumba as well. He's one of my favorite characters, but he's the same problem as Ganesh and Fafnir, where his jungle clear is very low. And jungle clear, if it's ranked comp, whatever, it's like one of the most important things, like level 1 jungle clear, I feel like a lot of people overlook. And if you don't have that, like you can't really play the game. So.
I mean, I've had so many ranked games where it's slow clear at the start, you get to lane late, you don't hit level 2, you get zoned off, you lose shield buff, you lose your purple buff invade, then game's over.
Exactly.
Or at the very least, the lane's over. Hopefully someone on your team's fed elsewhere.
You have to get carried,
Yeah, exactly. So if we're looking at early clear, I mean, it's not better than Kuzembo, right? I mean, you can destroy those buffs.
Yeah, Kuzembo's A tier for sure.
Okay.
He's always... I feel like he's another god, too. Like... That's always going to be good in ranked, just because he does a lot of damage. His CC is pretty good. The only thing that like his downfall is that his abilities, you can push people out of like mage abilities CC, or like alt people out of abilities. So that's like one thing that he does kind of bad, but he does so much damage, and he's good in lane. He has good jungle. He literally checks all the like the boxes of what you want in a character to win ranked, I feel like.
What I've learned is whenever I have a Circat on my team or a Kuzembo, I say, like if I'm Raw, for example, I'll say push them at me or push them in the wall. And if you do that, I'll hit every Raw snipe off your CC. If not, if you don't establish that connection, you're just going to miss every time because you're just pushing each other or taunting them out. So things like that you got to establish. But if you do, Kuzembo, great early pressure, as we said. Just triple bounce the buffs, and you should have a good time in lane. What about Maui? I mean, was dominating last season, but it's fallen off a bit.
I think he was overrated last season. Okay. I think he was very good. Like he was probably one of the best characters in the game for sure. But people were saying he was the best god. I didn't believe that ever. Mm-hmm. Maybe like top 10 for sure. But right now I put him in B tier. I feel like he's the same thing as Khepri kind of, where the thing with Maui though is he has better clear on the jungle camps. He has his cleave auto, and like you can jump and stun all the camps and do a lot of damage and clear pretty fast. His laning phase is actually very good, but the problem is, like, another thing too with Khepri that I didn't mention is that you don't have a lot of damage in your kit as Maui and Khepri. So like, for you to win a game out of support, you need some damage in your kit to be able to do that, and like they don't provide enough damage to do that. You kind of have to rely more on your team to win the game. But I still think he's very strong. If you have a good team, like Khepri and Maui, like those are two characters that could easily go up to S tier to win rank.
Depending on your team that you're surrounded with, or
exactly.
Okay. All right, well, solid pick there for Maui. What about Sobek? You've been talking about Sobek.
A-tier.
You've been alluding to him this whole time. You want the croc over in A.
He's always good. Like, there's never been a meta where Sobek's support is bad. Like, even if people aren't playing him like at a competitive level, like he's always going to be good like in ranked. There's never been a time where I've been like, man, Sobek's terrible in ranked. So
I think it's because in comp, you know, you're going to be beads in every pluck, but in ranked, there's a chance that even if they have beads, you're going to be getting the value. You pluck them, they beads in midair, they throw the game, stuff like that. So I love the safety that he provides, and as you've been saying, he's got a lot of damage built into the kit as well.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Sylvanus. Another one of these healer supports.
He's hard. I want to put him in... like there's a lot of characters that are in A tier that I would put like in between S and A, and he's
An A
like another
plus,
one.
yeah.
I don't know if I want to put him in S tier, like because it's so hard. I don't know if I want to put him in S or if I want to put him in A. This is a hard one because he has really good jungle clear.
Right.
He has sustain as well, which is also very strong. He also has like his pull late game.
Yep.
If you hit a good one on like any carry, it just instantly wins you the game.
Yep.
So he has a lot of good things going for him, I feel like, and his ult's also just very strong as well. So I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna put him in A tier.
Okay.
I want to put him in S tier, but at the same time, like a lot of people have been going Ankh recently.
Yep.
Does very good into him, and he's just very easy to. If you get behind as Sylvanus, which you shouldn't realistically get behind, but what can happen is
You get cringe ganked or something?
yeah, exactly. You clear the buffs really fast. You get to lane. You have really good clear, and you're playing on tower line.
Yep.
You get ganked by the jungler. You get behind, and you're like, okay, I'm Sylvanus. I'm behind, and this is not good down.
That happens to me all too much. I think, we got lane pressure. We hit level 2 first. We're pressuring the bastions. I feel good. And then you see like enemy missing middle, and you're like, what's that mean? And then you're dead, and then you lost lane even from the pressure. So you got to watch out for those jungle ganks. But Sylvanus on the precipice of going over to S tier.
If there was no junglers in the game, Sylvanus would be S tier. He'd be one of the best characters for sure.
All right. Well, Terra has a lot of that sustain. She's got a lot of that damage as well. You think Terra's going to bridge the gap to S? Or
yeah,
what?
I would put Terra in S tier.
Okay.
I feel like right now, a lot of people say she's a difficult character to play, and I feel like she is hard to make like the highlight Terra plays on.
Right.
But like, all you have to do is hit your root and ult, and I feel like you're doing a lot in a team fight, especially in ranked. Like, because her jungle clear, first off, it's not the best, but it's not bad. You have your cleave autos and your stun, and then also like in lane, her lane clear is really good. And once you hit level 3 in lane, she's one of the strongest characters like in the dual laning phase at level 3, just because you have your root and you can do a lot of damage to their hunter, and they can't hit the wave basically when you go on them with Terra.
That's probably the big difference maker, right? Playing safe at level 2 until you get level 3. Because at level 3, you get access to all your kit, whereas level 2, you got to choose between, you got the clap and then usually a heal. You don't even use the dash or whatever you want to try and level. But once you get all of them, your lane really opens up to you. So I'm glad we have another god up in S tier at the very least.
Yep.
Who's this guy? I haven't seen Xing Chen in a while. I think that he's still great into these hunters, these auto attack comps.
I want to put him in A tier as well. He's another god that's good. You can make an argument that he can be B tier sometimes.
Okay.
If you're building like a damage item on Xing 10, I feel like you want to slot in a damage item somewhere, like maybe either like a Chronos Pendant early or like a Divine Rune like later on. But at some point, like if one damage item really makes a difference on Xing 10, so I think A tier is good for him.
All right, make sure you're taking in a little bit of damage. Make sure because he's got 2 jumps, he's got CC immunity. He's usually relatively safe, so you can kind of afford to play.
His kit doesn't do like enough damage by itself without one damage item to like really threaten anybody. But once you get that one damage item, it makes like a lot of difference.
All right, so Xing Chen moving on with the A. Last 2, Yemoja. I mean, used to be running the meta, certainly great in comp, but is she that good in ranked?
I'm going to put her in B tier just because she's hard to play. She's another character. There's like a bunch of characters on here that could just shoot straight up to S.
If you just hit that one magnificent ult that wins the game.
Yeah, or if you just have a lot of like reps on her, like you have to play this character a lot to be good at her. Like that's why I'm thinking like, I'm looking at some of these characters. We'll talk about it, I guess, after we're done with the rest of them. But like Yemoja, if you're really good at Yemoja, she's easily an S tier.
Right.
And she definitely moves up. But like, if you're getting into ranked and you're like looking at a god to play and learn, she's definitely like B, maybe even C tier. Like you could be, if you're 3ing someone and you 3 your own teammate, or you 3 someone in, or like you miss your ult. Like your ult is such a long cooldown in Yemoja. If you have a bad ult, you
may have lost the game.
You have a chance to do absolutely nothing in the fight. So, but the
next 2 fights because of how long the cooldown is.
Exactly. The saving thing about Yemoja is your heal's really easy to use.
Right.
So like even if you can't land a lot of your ones, like if you're not familiar with her, if you're just spamming your heal, you throw up an ult randomly in a team fight, like you'll do pretty good. So.
All right. So Yemoja going to be B, but has the ability to go to S depending on how many times you've played her, things like that. Last Guardian on the list going to be the Ymir. Is it comp dependent? Do you like Ymir? Do you hate him? What's up with Ymir?
I want to put him. He's like. There's like a couple gods that are in like between A and B as well. Like I was saying, between A and S. I kind of want to put him in B tier. He's another god that can easily drop down to like C tier and like be like a detriment to your team because you can wall your team off. You could just his abilities like you root yourself in place when you freeze. Like if you get behind his Ymir, it's very easy for you to die. So
usually the first one dead if you're behind is because you're either engaging for your team or being left out to dry.
Yeah.
So a little bit unfortunate there. We did talk about doing, at the very least, one warrior, and that would be the Horus, who has been a top pick for a while now in the support role. That mobility, that healing, that early stun can be so impactful. How good do you think Horus is at the moment?
I think Horus is another guy that's between A and S as well. I don't want to put him in S tier just because I feel like he's very good early game, good jungle clear again, and he's probably one of the most threatening gods that you can pick in dual lane, like for getting kills early on. But there's also a chance that late game you don't do as much. If his heal was still as short of a cooldown as it was at the beginning of the year, he would for sure be S tier.
That was a little bit too much.
They toned that down, which I feel like balanced him out a lot better. And he's still very strong, but I'm gonna leave him in A tier. And then can we also just throw Guan in A tier as well now?
All right.
That's it. He's right there. And that's the last one we'll do for Warriors. But I think he's another character. He has sustain, really good jungle clear. I think people should try him out more. I think he's another underrated character in support.
All right, Guan Yu also going over to A tier. We do have the mages to go through. There's a lot of these healers, a lot of these high CC mages that are still being played. I believe the first one would be just Aphrodite, probably.
Yeah, Afro.
How much do you think Afro is benefiting your rank squads?
I'm gonna put her in B tier. She's another god like Yemoja that could easily move up to S if you have a lot of games on her. But like she's kind of hard to play. Like if you mistime your ult, your ult does nothing besides give like a little bit of a damage boost. And usually when you're ulting, you're usually ulting to get someone out of danger.
Yep.
And if you're mistiming your ult, they're probably going to be dead already. So like if you're good at using her ult, even if you're ulting just like for CC immunity, like at the start of the fight, it could be really good. So I'm just going to put her in B tier. She's another god that can move up though to S tier as well.
All right, and what about Hell? How much are you thinking Hell's impacting?
I'm going to put Hell in... I'm going to put her... She's between B and A as well. I'll put her in A tier just because she has a lot of sustain. Her cleanse is good too. Even if you mistime it, like it lasts, the CC meeting on it lasts a pretty long time. So maybe it'll get someone out of a slow even if you don't use it perfectly. And she just has a lot of damage early, and her jungle clear is very strong as well.
It's super annoying.
Yeah.
You never expect the Hell to get to lane as fast as she does, but they always get there before you.
You just have two abilities, that's why. So.
All right, Hell, and then do you want to do the E set as well?
Sure, we'll do E set. I'll put E set in C tier.
Okay.
I think she's another god that can easily move up, probably to only like A tier. But she's a god that her ult is also kind of hard to use. You kind of have to, if you have a lot of game knowledge and you play a lot of ranked games, like you know like what's going to happen in fights. If you can preemptively use her ult, like for certain scenarios that you're in,
where you know the team fight's going to take place here.
Yeah, because a lot of the time I see people play E set. They'll throw their ult down, and then it'll just be like insta-pop. It did nothing. Like,
or they'll hold it the entire time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you got to make sure you're getting the value out of that circle protection.
And then also, like, if you don't hit your 3, the silence that shields everybody, like, you are a pretty big detriment to your team, I feel like, at that point. So it's like you're very reliant on landing your skill shots more so than almost any of these other gods. Because also she's a mage, so her base protections are just going to be lower. So if you're not landing your skills, you're a lot easier to kill. So.
All right. Well, E set drops down to C. Now that we get the full list, I know you've been wanting to possibly make some renditions. Anything you want to change up now that we see every god that's going to be placed?
Yeah, part of me wants to move Aries down to A tier.
Okay.
That's where I would put him if it wasn't... Like, if it's for me... Personally, he's S tier. Like for sure, I love playing Aries. I think he's really good.
But not everyone hits those chains like you.
I feel like he's very reliant. And like the thing is, you can miss chains. Like I don't hit every chain, but it's more so of like how you position after you miss a chain. Because if you keep going in after you miss a chain, you're gonna die. So you gotta wait for your next chains to come up before you can re-engage.
All right, so Aries down to A.
Yeah.
You sounded so sad when I moved him.
Oh man, I feel bad that there's like not more in S tier. Like S tier gods are like
in my
the best
mind,
of the best.
S tier is they didn't get banned. Holy crap, grab me that right now.
That's why Athena's like weird as well, kind of. I think Terra fits that very
Right,
well.
no, I agree.
I think Terra, and Terra's also easy to put. Like, I feel like anybody can almost pilot a Terra and like maybe not have like the crazy like walls. Also, this map, I will mention with Terra, very easy to get good walls on this map compared to any other map like that Terra's ever been on. Like maybe if she was in season 0, then sure, maybe she'd be insane on that map. But like any map that there's ever been, like this is the best map for walling characters. So she's definitely S tier. Yeah, let's move. I'm gonna move Athena down as well.
All right, we're only gonna have Terra.
I'm trying to think if I want to move anyone up to S tier. I'm looking really quick. I think I'm happy with this.
Okay.
Again, I want to just say that
Reiterate, yeah.
There's a couple characters like Charon would be in between, Athena would be in between, Aries would probably be in between S and A.
And that's why I always say, if you fast forward to the end, please don't just look at this list and take it at face value. Please understand Aror gave very detailed explanation about the actual ceiling for each of these gods depending on how you pilot them. If you're jungler, if camps your lane, if you're going to be playing passive, whatever. So if you do have any questions about this list, please screenshot it, tweet at us. We'll tell you exactly what you need to know. Aror, thank you so much for sitting down making this tier list with me. And we hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.